Well, welcome once again to our weathercast. Doing our Monday, December 4th production here, and we've still got rain in the Texas area moving through northeast Texas right there. It's on its way east as we develop some low pressure out in West Texas and the high plains. But as many of you know, we've been watching for possibly severe weather in the southeast U.S., and we have a couple tornado watches out for western Florida. And where exactly are those? There we go. Basically in the Pensacola area, Eglin Air Force Base, all the way out towards the Albany, Georgia area. Now, like I've mentioned on that thumbnail, I don't know how many people are seeing that. Hang on a second. I'm looking over here and I'm seeing the stream health is bad. I don't know if we're putting enough data through, but I need to take a quick look and make sure we're not streaming 720 or something, so give me a second here. If you guys are getting the video feed okay, let me know. Confirming it, 480p. Broadcasting out to, let's see here. Yeah, things look good on our end. I think maybe, oh, here we go. I had a process going in the background. I was downloading some upper air data. So maybe that will clear it up. Okay. I guess YouTube is just being finicky. So we'll just jump back in here. If you have problems, let me know. This is the weather picture we have across the U.S. And let me run that back. We don't quite have the high pressure in the area, but there's that low pressure area in Louisiana. This came out of Mexico yesterday, and ahead of that, very typical baroclinic wave coming out of South Texas there with a lot of moisture, and we saw dew points in the 70s offshore. Let me pull up that chart. I have the surface analysis for the Gulf right now. And we've got a lot of 70s dew points just offshore. Don't worry about that right there. There is a little bit of bad data. But if we trace out the frontal boundary, we're going to come out with something like that right there. Now, you can also see maybe a little bit of cyclonic turning along that boundary, because we do have winds coming out of the northeast here, and there's a little bit of a southwest component here. So maybe we're focusing on this area right here. And the shape of the wave kind of suggests maybe low pressure here. So that would be kind of a small scale mesolow working its way up the boundary. Now the best moisture is down in Florida. It hasn't quite surged up into Alabama and Georgia like we were a little bit concerned about a couple days ago. Now one way we can take a closer look at where the severe potential is with the high-resolution rapid refresh model. Let me bring up the current picture here. This is the 0Z composite reflectivity for right now. So one thing we should do with this is just check and make sure that the model is verifying, and we can see kind of like a little line in the westernmost county of Florida going south-southwest, and another line out ahead of it in this Apalachicola area. Is that what we have on radar? That's pretty close. There are some differences. Looks like this main line is a little bit further east than we expected. See, it's already near that triple point of the state lines. So it looks like we're a little bit off on this initialization of the model. Maybe I need to go up to 2Z. Is it 2Z already? Yeah, it is. Okay. That's a little better, but it's still not perfect. Actual locations of these cells are right there, and they look a little bit more disorganized right now. And then this easternmost cluster, yeah, that looks pretty good. That's about in that same area, so that looks good. So no overwhelming problems here. Now, what about severe weather potential? This is the CAPE display here. This is mixed layer CAPE. If I had most unstable cape, I would definitely use that, but they don't offer that at the site. I mean, it's not a problem. Pivotal Weather here, they're giving us some good charts to work with, so we'll do mixed layer here. And this will kind of give us a ballpark for the instability. And we can see that the best instability is pretty much south of that front. So you go north of there, and we've got problems there with Cape. And we can confirm this by setting the cursor on Georgia. And what kind of sounding do we get? Well, let's see here. You know, guys, we should be using the most unstable layer. See, let me show you how this works. Mixed layer Cape from surface up to 150 millibars deep. That's going to sample pretty much all this part of the sounding. And we really shouldn't be using that. We should be using most unstable here. Now, what I can do is I can go off to the high resolution rapid refresh model site at NOAA. And off to the left side, they've got some options here for the Cape, and there's most unstable right there. That's what we want to look at in this kind of elevated situation, because it does look like there is some MU Cape in place. So I'm going to pick the southeast. And do we have operational data? Yeah, looks like we do. Okay, then the 2Z map, most unstable Cape. So that's the picture we have right there. And let me give you the legend so you can see the actual values. So anything starting with green, that's 1500. The first two shades are basically in the sub-thunderstorm area, so we've basically got 500 values all the way to here. That's enough to support a few thunderstorms north of the front. So the front is down here. That's the most unstable Cape there. That's factoring into the situation. And with the mixed layer Cape, where did that go? Okay. Yeah, with the mixed layer Cape, you don't see that quite as well north of the front. Now, the significant tornado parameter, this is a good predictor for tornadic storms and supercells. It's often used to forecast tornado intensity, but on this particular site, you can kind of use this to figure out which factors are favoring severe weather. So you see some storms out in this area. I'm going to set the cursor on that and pull up the plot. And they've got a display over here for significant tornado parameter where I set that cursor out there in the warm sector. And what you want to look at is right here. This gives you all the different ingredients that go into the significant tornado parameter because it's a multiplicative equation. And if you look at the ones that are enhanced in yellow, those are the big contributors to severe weather. So we're looking at LCL being pretty low. We have good storm relative helicity. Photograph kind of bears that out. Good sweep of the SRH. And good bulk wind difference. Winds from the surface up to 6 kilometers. There's about 50 knots a shear there. And then you can look at what's causing problems, and that would be Cape. There's not quite enough instability to support large tornadoes. And the other issue here is the convective inhibition. Trying to find where that is. Yeah, things are pretty uncapped, so there's a lot of cell right there. So things are pretty uncapped. There's a lot of cell competition there. That means you're going to get a lot of disorganized storms forming. But the shear here is pretty good. See, there's good turning of the winds. And if you go north of the front, do we have good shear there? No, we've got a straight line photograph. So that's not really going to support severe weather north of the front. That and the fact that there's a lot of cold air near the surface. So let me run this back to 3 hours. I'll pull up one more sounding here in the warm sector. And for this particular sounding, it looks like the LCL is the main positive factor. Also a little bit of CAPE and helicity factoring in, but the bulk wind difference looks to be worse. And of course, very uncapped. See? No cap. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the radar that's being forecast for that area tonight. That kind of moves moves on off to the east, and then we get this main line developing here. This looks like maybe the cold front coming through. So there's the cold front, warm front looking like that, and this is probably the main source of lift coming through. And then that sweeps eastward into Georgia during the early morning, and of course that's the convective minima, so we're not going to really see a whole lot of severe weather that early. May not see any at all. And then the significant tornado parameter, we'll just take a quick look at what that does. Looks like the best values are pretty much down in Florida and the southern extreme counties of, southeast counties of Georgia there. So just kind of a marginal potential there for severe weather overnight. And so that's the story of what's happening out in that area. Let me get my windows cleaned up here. Okay, this is showing a little bit more radar coverage in Georgia and Alabama. The showers look a little bit worse than they do on this radar presentation, and that's because this is base reflectivity. This is just one elevation slice into these cells. This is composite reflectivity, and it's looking at all the slices and finding what the highest values are. So you're going to get kind of like a blooming effect in much larger cells. And, you know, so this is still useful. This is kind of good for kind of like a first glance at what's happening out there. All right, so let's see. We're done with all this. I think we're done with that. We can probably just go ahead and go into the forecast for this week. Okay, let's get this set up here. I'm going to take a look at chat and say hello to everybody. Let's see, video was good, and I think what happened is I was showing all that road footage at the beginning, and there's a whole lot of motion, and that's hard to compress, and I think YouTube was just choking on that. These weather maps, it loves those. Anyway, hello to Michael and Alexi and Sarah and Sue. Good to see you all. And how much snow will Kansas City get? We'll take a quick look. That's about 2 days out still, so we're going to have to depend on the models to really figure that out. And what I'll do is I'll bring up the NAM. So let me do that real quick. NAM is going to probably be the best model for predicting our totals. Winter weather, yeah, we'll do total accumulated snowfall. Okay, so this is going to be Monday here. Now, if we were talking about something in the next 12 hours, I could probably kind of improve on this model data and use some of my mesoscale forecasting knowledge, but anything 48 to 72 hours out, the computers are going to do a better job than I can. So basically, yeah, we're tracking this little area of maybe some isentropic lifting back behind the main system, and that's running basically from, looks like around Goodland through central Kansas down to Chanute. And the gray shading here, the dark gray shading, that's going to be about 1/2 inch. And then when you get this blue here, that's going to be 1 inch. So right here, this is Wednesday night. And looks like nothing for Kansas City. Kind of goes south of you there. But of course that could change. And then if I bring this on through the weekend, looks like we start laying down some pretty good snow cover. It's probably a good thing I brought this up because you can see the changes happening up north. Fresh snow cover is excellent for radiating away heat and keeping the ground from heating the boundary layer. Let's see how much of a change there is from 0 hours. Yeah, man, that's a lot of snow coming down. So that's going to help reinforce the transition to a cool pattern here over the next couple of weeks. Wow, you look at that. That purple we're talking about 10 to 20 inches up there in western Ontario and Manitoba. And I just realized I accidentally pulled up the GFS here. That's more of a coarse resolution model. So I'm going to go and pull up the NAM, and we'll just see if that gives us a different result for snow totals around Wednesday or Thursday. You can see things are pretty dry up north, mainly hammering away there at North Dakota tomorrow. Then here we go, this next wave coming down, a little bit of, I guess, isotropic lift back behind the system, and going with the same general idea as the GFS, taking that mostly just south of there, and a little bit of maybe a trace in the Kansas City area. This looks best for Tulsa, Wichita, and Garden City, no, Goodland, I'm sorry there. Goodland and Colby. Okay, so what system is doing this? Well, we've got this cold front coming south very quickly. This will be through the southern plains over the next 24 to 36 hours. Southeast U.S. system kind of works up the coast. And by the time we do the weathercast tomorrow, this is going to be the picture. A lot of cold air advection across the central U.S., and the main cold front should be all the way to the Rio Grande, so it's moving very quickly. And here's the next system out to the west coming through. Then when we do the webcast on Wednesday, looks like even more cold air coming south. You can see a little bit of that flurries back behind the back over that cold dome, a little bit of lift back there. And some of that cold air coming into the western U.S. That'll get lodged in the valleys there. And then our webcast for Thursday, we're going to have this picture, even more cold air coming south, 540 line all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth, so it's going to be pretty cold. And looks like a Pacific system coming in, and that'll be riding over the dome, probably on Friday there. So Friday map looking like this. High pressure across the southeast U.S., and now we're getting a little bit of slow, warm advection over the central U.S. Things get a little bit of a respite over the weekend. Things will be pretty quiet except in the northern plains. And then starting out next week, another bit of Canadian cold air coming south. There's another shot coming south right there. More of an Alberta clipper on Tuesday the 13th. And we get a little bit more lift with that, and that looks like because the jet stream is going to be more lined up like that. I can see with these thickness lines being very tight in this area, that's going to support a pretty active jet, and that's lined up pretty well for generating precip along that outbreak right there. So we're talking 14th and 15th for that, and that hits the northeast pretty good. Good norther coming into Texas there on Thursday the 15th. And now we get a Pacific system coming in through Arizona and Utah and Colorado. Looks like some good snow there in the ski areas. That'll be moving pretty quickly to the east. Sunday, December 18th, and then the 19th. Now we're starting to get way out there, but looks like another outbreak of cold air coming south. And a little bit of freezing precipitation there in northeastern or northwestern Oklahoma. And then Christmas, that's about 4 or 5 days after this. A lot could change between this and Christmas, so we don't quite know what's going to happen. I've got that other video from last night. You're welcome to check that out, but we're probably going to see a totally different situation than that's showing there. Okay, let's see. That's probably about it for me. I'm going to check the chat and see if I missed anything. Hello to Cameraman came in. More snow later this week. I guess that's Kansas City there. No, that's somebody else. Blizzard for December 16th. That's a good point. I'll bring this up real quick and let you see December 16th. Yep, there's been a little bit of change in the models, but this is the 14th and 15th. It looks like it still will be pretty blustery in the Great Lakes right there. And then 16th actually is going to turn out quiet for the Northeast. So that's what happens when you're forecasting 300 hours out with these models. But things will be active here over the next week or two. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow.